Ladies and gentlemen, there's a new off-road pickup truck in town, and it's right here. This is the 2026 GMC Sierra EV AT4. It's an addition to the GMC Sierra electric pickup truck lineup, and it's quite unique. And in this video, I want to show this truck to you, tell you all the data about it. There's quite a lot going on with this truck. Also price. This is not an $100,000 truck. You will be very pleasantly, I think, surprised perhaps to hear that the starting price on this guy is below $80,000, but it's about $79,300 before destination charges, and current federal tax incentives are still there, and that makes it qualify. So while that's still available, that $7,500 credit or tax incentive is still around. So that makes it a lot more attractive from a price perspective. But what I think is attractive about this truck is also some of the capability and some of the specs of it. This is what it looks like. So when you're getting the AT4 Sierra EV, you immediately have this visual cue, which is a painted red tow hook in the front and a slightly unique grille right here with an AT4 badge kind of on the side here. So I think it's done quite well. You also see the approach angle of this truck and also a flat belly. So I don't know how much we could see here with this camera, but the gigantic battery is there, and it's independent suspension all the way around. But they have a little bit of a cut in this bumper, which makes it for an approach angle of about 32 degrees, which is actually pretty good. When you compare it to some of the other pickup trucks, internal combustion traditional vehicles, over 30 degrees of approach is a pretty good spec. What helps that approach angle is the fact that this truck rides a little bit higher than some other Sierra EVs. It's got about a 2-inch higher ride height, and it does not have air. You can see right here, it has a steel coil spring, which is basically, so it has only one ride height and just the dampers and the shocks that are configured for that. So I think that's another thing you might appreciate, because as much as a lot of people love air suspension, where you can lower it down, get into it, and then raise it up over obstacles and go over some obstacles, there's a couple things with that. I've noticed recently, if you use it a lot off-road, sometimes the air compressor may get hot and it will tell you to wait. So you can't lift up the vehicle, so that you can have that issue. Also, I don't know, 10 years down the line, 12 years down the line, that air suspension may need to be maintained, maybe changed out. So it adds an additional item for maintenance. But this coil sprung suspension, I think, is on the money because it's just steel. It's not gonna change over the next 12 years or 25 years and on and on. This also has a 35-inch tall tire. So this is an 18-inch wheel, and it's got basically a 35-inch diameter approximately. This is what GMC says. But the tire size here is these small numbers: LT 285, 75, R18, right there. So it's not a super wide tire, but I don't think it really needs to be. It's a Goodyear Wrangler Territory AT electric. There's an electric symbol here. Load range E. So it has to do a couple of different things. Carry a truck that's approaching 9,000 pounds in some configurations, maybe less in some others. There's two different battery options. The smaller battery is called extended range battery. That battery offers this truck 1,950 pounds of payload and 12,300 pounds of maximum towing capacity. Sorry, we're here at the hunting ground facility in Michigan, and the hunting dogs are going off. I promise you that wasn't me. I didn't make them angry. Or maybe excited. Maybe they're just excited. So this truck, the one you see here, it's the more expensive one because it has the max range battery, 478 miles of range, and 725 horsepower from 2 motors. A lot of horsepower. If this wasn't the max range, you would get 100 less horsepower, 625. You'll get a smaller battery, smaller range, not by much though. And also, you'll get more payload and more towing. So the way this truck sits, this one has about 1,500 pounds of payload and 10,000 pounds of towing. So you have to pick and choose. Do you want maximum driving range and some other options? And do you want to pay 10 grand more for that? Or do you want to save some money, pay about what, 81 with destination, 81,000, and get better payload and better towing capacity? So that's kind of up to you to decide. I would go with a smaller battery myself. I probably won't be towing cross country with one of these trucks, personally speaking, and I would like that extra payload. And I don't think actually mind losing 100 horsepower. 625 horsepower is still a lot of power, so I don't think I would miss that much. Let's go inside. Oh, I wanted to tell you before we do, this has 25 degrees of departure, so the departure angle is here, and this is a very long truck. It does have 4-wheel steering, so it does have rear steer. It does have unique off-road mode called terrain mode with really aggressive rear steer. We'll have to try it out later and see how that works. I can't wait to see that. But it's got 25 degree of approach, which is also a very competitive number. Breakover angle though, this truck is very long. So in the middle, it has, if you come around here, you could see it's a really long truck. So 146-inch wheelbase, which is on par with like a Sierra 1500 crew cab standard bed. The breakover angle is about 19.1 degrees. So, but that belly is a steel, several layers of steel. It's basically all of Sierra EVs have the same battery enclosure. So it's not like this truck has an additional skid plate, but all of them have massive steel enclosures for the battery, which makes it, well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, if I drive over this rock pile, how will that, withstand that? But I'm sure GMC has tested it in many different ways, including water intrusion, rock punctures. So they told me that the battery enclosure is actually very, very heavy duty because this truck can weigh 8,000 pounds or up to what, almost 9,000 pounds. So because of that, it has to be a very stout system. But as far as what I can see, you got 35s, rear steer, really good approach and departure angles, and lots of power. Those are good basics, I think. Let's check out the interior. All right, let's get in. I think we have some rain coming out quite soon here in Michigan. Just kind of a standard thing. Now, the truck is already on. I could actually turn it off using this button on the screen. It does have this massive screen in the center. It's a vertical orientation. So I just click off, and if I open the door, the truck will go to sleep, so to speak. Now, if I close the door and I push, there's no push button start here. If I just put my foot on the brake, the truck comes to life. Then I can shift it into gear. It's got this column shift right here, which is electronic. It's not connected to cables and steel, but it is column shift, which I kind of like because it's kind of a traditional thing. I used to own a 2002 Silverado 2500 Duramax diesel, and that had a traditional clunk, clunk, clunk column shift. So that's still in my memory. I remember, going down to drive and a little bit up for reverse. And the still motion applies here. Down for drive, up for reverse. So from that standpoint, I feel familiar with this truck. Now, like I said, so this truck you see here, this is the maximum battery, maximum range, maximum horsepower truck, which does cost $10,000 more than that initial $79,000 starting price. But it also gets you a panoramic sunroof, also gets you additional power export up to 10.2 kilowatts of it. Still gets you some other equipment like the midgate, where you could fold the midgate and extend the bed from 5 foot 11 inches with a closed tailgate to 9 feet 1 inch with the midgate closed. So you have all those elements in this truck, included ventilated and heated seats and the climate control system here. By the way, the climate control system here is both digital and physical switches. So I kind of like that. I can do some of the air. Oh, sorry. Google is listening to me. Hey, Google, tell me a joke.
What's a pig's favorite karate move? A pork chop.
Oh, I should have seen that coming, really. Anyways, climate control systems are digital and switches. Also fan speed, you can increase this way, decrease this way. You could direct the air pretty easily, put on defrost, can select your heated seats or ventilated seats. So that's okay, I like that. The volume knob is a knob, okay, and sweet. The light switch I don't like. The light switch is actually a digital button. And I always forget this. Sometimes when we're filming, we like to have the lights on to present the vehicle and show how the lights work. So then I would power the vehicle down, I would get out, I would come back in, and I would have to wake up the truck so I can select the lights again. So I just don't like that step. I would have liked a physical switch somewhere here that just lets me on and off for my headlamps. But the headlamps are also automatic. So if you leave them in auto, and if you're not an automotive journalist, you don't care about, filming your truck, that will just work, right? So your headlamps will come on when it gets dusky or, in a tunnel, when it gets dark. So that's okay. But I really still wish there would be a physical switch for those lights. Here I do have a place for my device. This actually moves out. I can move this out. I can make this deeper. There's USB-C cables or outlets here for my device. So I can do all these things. This is a pretty neat action. Oh, my sunglasses. I was looking for these. My sunglasses are here. Yeah, and the seats are kind of unique for AT4. There's an AT4 badge embroidered right there into the headrest. We have double stitching. This is also kind of this material that seems to be quite durable. So this interior is pleasant, maybe not super luxurious like a Denali would be, but still I think very pleasant. I do have also a heads-up display. So if you can see this opening here on the dash, and it's really hard for you to see the heads-up information, but I have my speed, my cruise control settings. There, you might see it right there. Also, these trucks have enhanced Super Cruise. This is a hands-off, driver still pays attention system, but it's enhanced now. You could push this little button, enables the system. You could see the white switch right there in the center. And then, so what that does, it does a couple of extra things that it didn't do before. It does lane centering for you on not mapped roads, but they do have 600,000 miles of mapped highways, including interstates, divided highways, and also non-divided highways, secondary highways, up to 600,000 miles of that. And those are the Super Cruise enabled. So in the transition between non-enabled Super Cruise road and enabled one is super smooth because you only have to hit this once. And the truck will let you know if it wants to drive by itself, and you have to observe, monitor it. And then also, if you're navigating somewhere to your next location, if it's in Super Cruise mode, it will also know where to exit. So it will start changing lanes for you. If you haven't changed your lane, it'll remind you to change your lane in order to exit. So it doesn't drive door to door fully autonomously. That's not the system. It just helps you still, and it's enhanced. Now, some of those extra features are here, and I really want to test and see how it works. So please come back. We'll have another video coming up very shortly where you can kind of see a lot of that. So I have a digital rear mirror, so you can kind of see the forest behind me. I could zoom in and out. Let me zoom all the way out. I could see the tree. I can lower it. I can kind of see the top of my tailgate. I can like to see that reference point, so I can adjust that. Okay, there we go. I adjusted it so I could see it. So it's a little bit, I can turn it this way. Yeah, so it still has a lot of features. So the truck I'm sitting in right now, this is basically that $91,000 to $92,000 truck. So yeah, these trucks are still not super cheap, but at least you can get into one with a lot of these off-road features and additional ride height. Extra terrain mode. I mentioned it already, but it's actually right here. Activate terrain mode. So we'll have to test this out and see exactly how it works. It's supposed to be for slower off-road driving with some harder obstacles. You can kind of see some of the rocks on this image. So this is really the purpose of it, slow moving. And this is difficult for off-road trucks that are electric, because motor control at low speeds is quite difficult, we figured out. And also this truck has no locking differentials, so there are no physical lockers. Off-road mode, they say it's for faster off-road driving. So if you're on a dirt road, maybe a washboard road, or maybe just a gravel road or a forest road, that you're moving at 15, 25, 30 miles an hour on dirt, that's probably the mode for you. Towhaul mode is there as well, and you could select the trailer. You can add your trailers, and General Motors is really good at this. This system, I think, is one of the most clear to use. And let's do the boat. It's almost summer, at least in Denver area. So it's got boat ramp assist. It has, I think, one of the best systems. Trailer light check, gross combined weight alert. I found this feature is not super accurate, where based on driving it estimates the weight of your trailer. I think Rivian does the best at that. But I'm talking about the other Denali trucks I have driven, where this feature was available. So we'll have to wait and see if they have improved this for 2026. I'm not sure. We haven't towed with this truck yet. So that's kind of where we are. The new truck. Let's step outside just for another moment. There's also a base model called the Sierra EV Elevation, and I have a separate video and also a podcast about that truck. That truck starts at $64,500 approximately, under 65 grand, with a smaller battery and still all-wheel drive and 645 horsepower, which I think is pretty impressive. And all these trucks are actually heading to dealerships now. This is June 2025, but dealers have been ordering some of these 2026 models. GMC team told me that some of these are already heading to dealers, so you may already see them on some dealer lots, or you could check it out, or you could order one if you want. So now you know all the pricing, all the features, all the data. The only thing left is to actually test it, and that will happen mostly in Colorado. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.